The arena was already exploding when the golden confetti fell, but before you rush into that moment, pause right here, because what you're about to hear is not just a performance story, it's a journey that proves dreams don't ask where you come from, only how badly you're willing to fight for them. And if stories like this move your heart, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and become part of a family that believes hope can rise from anywhere. Minutes earlier, the boy stood frozen at the center of the massive AGT stage, lights blinding his eyes, hands trembling around a microphone that felt heavier than anything he had ever held. He was just 13 years old, Filipino, small for his age, wearing a slightly worn jacket that his mother had stitched the night before. His name echoed through the hall as the host introduced him, and for a brief second, the cheers sounded distant, like waves crashing far away. In that moment, he wasn't in America. He was back on the streets of Manila. Every morning in Manila began the same way for him. The smell of fried bananas from a roadside cart, the sound of jeepneys roaring past, and his mother's soft voice reminding him to be careful. His father had passed away when he was very young, leaving behind a cracked guitar and a dream unfinished. To help his family survive, the boy sang on busy sidewalks, outside markets, near traffic lights where people were too rushed to notice him. Some days he earned enough to buy rice. Other days, he earned nothing but tired legs and a sore throat. But even when people ignored him, he sang like someone was listening. Music was never a choice for him, it was survival. At night, in a tiny room shared with his mother and younger sister, he practiced quietly so the neighbors wouldn't complain. His mother would sit beside him, counting coins, pretending not to cry when his voice filled the room. She told him his voice was a gift, not just to help them live, but to help others feel less alone. Still, dreams felt dangerous when hunger was real. The idea of auditioning for AGT sounded impossible. They didn't have money. They didn't have connections. They barely had enough for daily meals. But one evening, after watching clips on a borrowed phone, his mother looked at him and said something that changed everything. She said, "If you never try, the streets will always be your stage." Those words became his courage. The journey to America was filled with fear. Airports were overwhelming. English felt heavy on his tongue. He worried his accent would make people laugh. He worried the judges wouldn't understand him. Backstage, surrounded by confident performers, dancers stretching, singers warming up, he almost walked away. His hands shook so badly that a production assistant noticed and offered him water. He whispered that he sang on the streets. She smiled and told him, "Then this stage is easy compared to that." When he finally walked out, the judges looked curious but uncertain. A small boy from the Philippines, alone, nervous, standing in front of millions. One judge asked why he was there. His voice cracked as he spoke about his mother, his sister, and singing to survive. The audience grew quiet. He closed his eyes before singing, not because he was scared, but because he needed to remember who he was singing for. The first note changed everything. His voice wasn't just strong, it was raw, emotional, filled with pain and hope woven together. Every word carried the weight of nights without dinner and mornings full of dreams. The judges leaned forward. The audience stopped breathing. Halfway through the song, tears streamed down his mother's face in the crowd, her hands clasped as if praying. He sang like the streets of Manila were listening, like his father was listening. When the final note faded, there was silence. Not the awkward kind, but the kind that happens when people are overwhelmed. Then the arena erupted. Cheers thundered. The boy opened his eyes, confused, as if he couldn't believe the sound was for him. One judge wiped away tears and said they had heard many voices, but rarely one with such truth. Another judge spoke about how pain, when turned into art, becomes powerful. Then it happened. A judge stood up, walked toward the golden buzzer, and paused. The boy's heart pounded so loudly he thought everyone could hear it. The judge said, "You didn't just sing. You told your life story." And with one press, golden confetti rained from the sky. The boy dropped to his knees, sobbing, overwhelmed by a moment he never thought he deserved. His mother screamed and cried at the same time, held by strangers who were now family. The audience stood, clapping, shouting his name. In that instant, the streets of Manila felt very far away. But the story didn't end there. Fame didn't erase fear overnight. There were critics online, doubters who said it was luck, not talent. There were moments when pressure almost crushed him. But every time he felt small again, he remembered where he started. He remembered singing for coins, singing through hunger, singing when no one cared. And he sang louder. The semi-finals came, then the finals. Each performance stronger than the last. Not because he wanted to win, but because he wanted to honor every child like him, every dream born in struggle. Whether he took the trophy or not didn't matter anymore. His life had already changed. When he finally returned to Manila, he didn't walk past the streets he once sang on, he stopped and sang again. This time, people gathered, not out of pity, but pride. He knelt beside his mother and told her they would never go hungry again. She held his face and said, "You were always rich. The world just needed to hear you." And now, as you sit watching this story, remember this: dreams don't belong only to those born with comfort. They belong to the brave, the persistent, the ones who sing even when no one listens. If this story touched you, if it reminded you to believe again, tap like, subscribe to this channel, and share this message, because somewhere right now, another child is singing on the streets, waiting for the world to listen.